What's going on, everybody? I believe it's working. Let's see if the camera will start working. And I'll do a screen share. That'll work. All right, so we're screen sharing. I don't know why the camera isn't working. Let's see here. All right, well, anyways, if the camera ain't working, I'll try to figure it out next time. All right. We're going to jump right into the stocks. A little bit about me. So I'm a stock trader and I'm a repo man. So I normally work, I transport RVs, run a heavy wrecker. I do a little bit of everything in the towing industry. I do own a RV moving company. So it's thervmovers.com. If you want to check out my website, I'm going to start putting some t-shirts and stuff on there eventually. I just got to decide when I want to do that. All right, so we're going to jump right in it. So T-Mobile had an awesome day on Friday, and it jumped. Let's see it. Start here so I can see it. So it jumped over the day 2%, which is good. But once it got to the high point here, I decided to short it. I do a lot of shorting. So once it made its 52 high, I decided at that point I wanted to short. I saw value in shorting this stock. And I'm going to short it down to this support line here. I think it's going to surpass this support and go down to here. So I have my buy. I went in small just in case it continued to uptrend, because there's always that ability to continue the uptrend. I think it's going to come back down to here and then continue its upward pattern. According to previous patterns, that's what it should do. So see it, consistent uptrend, higher high, higher high. There's about the same high, and now it's making a higher high here. So previous pattern shows that it'll go up, drop about 5%. So that's what I'm hoping here. I'm hoping it drops about 5%, right where I'm at, right where my sell is, our buyback is. And then once it does that, I'll buy them back, probably buy back into it and ride it up. All right, so I have a few call outs that have been messaged to me on my Discord about shorting and stuff like that. And then a few call outs that Ricky couldn't get to. I'm not associated with Ricky. I am part of the Learn, Play, and Profit. It's a very good course. And I have my own way of trading. He has his way of trading, and his works. So does mine. So I like to short. He don't short. I don't do options. There's a few people out here that do. they're very successful at it. I haven't been successful in it. I've done it a couple times and I wasn't that successful. I made $50 on one and lost 100 on another one. So kind of didn't like the whole option deal. All right, so we're going to jump into the first one, which is STNG. So it's a horizontal pattern. It had this major sell off, started consolidating, sold off a little bit more, and it pushed up. It did the same thing here, sold off, pushed up, consolidated, and sold off. So according from here to here, it's on the same pattern, which is a horizontal pattern. So what I'm thinking it's going to do, and this is what I told her that messaged me about it, it's going to push up to right about 21. And then once it hits 21, I think it's going to sell off again. So it'll be good to ride it up to 21. So if you bought in at 15, right here, I believe the low was 15. If you bought in right around here at the 15 mark, 15.50, somewhere around there, and rode it up here, I would still be holding. Now, you go to the 1 day, 1 minute chart, it didn't have a very good day. It pushed way up to about 2018 and started selling off. But this mark right here gives it hope. So it passed the SMA and the EMA on the 1 minute chart and started going back up. I got a feeling it's consolidating, selling off, consolidating. So what it's going to do is sold off a little bit more, went way oversold. Now it's going to push up. I think it's going to push up to about the 2080. That'd be my mark to sell it at. And then short it all the way back down to 15. So if we go back to the 20 day, the low was 15. So right here on my alert, I have alert set and I have a trend line. Right in here, buy here, a quarter of your shares, double them up here, and after confirmation, you go all in and spend your other half of shares. And that's how I buy in some of the times is once it gets into my zone, let's see. So let's do an oval here. Once it gets into my zone, which would be between here and here. I don't know why I didn't do it. Oh, there you go. Once it gets into this zone right here, buy here, double down here, finish off here. So you average down here, but then you average up here. Just in case. The reason I do that is just in case, okay, let's say I buy here and it doesn't go down to here. It stops here and my buy was here. So then I don't get filled and I have no shares going up. So now instead, I'm buying here instead of here, if that makes sense. And once the confirmation's made, then you double down. It's just my way of buying into a horizontal stock. So let me zoom back out. Then, right, you sell there at the same time. You're selling here. This is your area where you want to sell. Selling off, it's consolidating. Same thing here, push back up. So this is the line that needs to pass. And if it continues past there and goes into here, that's when you buy back in. So if you're going to short it, you sold here and it continues to uptrend past this, that's when you buy back in and buy your normal shares. Or you could go short of your normal and go half. If you go half and then as it continues, add more to your position, average up, it makes sense to buy more of what's making you money than averaging down, which a lot of people do. But when you're averaging down, right, and it continues to sell off, you lose a lot more by averaging down. So if you buy here, buy here. If it doesn't make it, double it here. It's my triangle effect. All right. So the next call out that I had messaged to me is staff. All right. So go to the 180 day. There's not a lot of volume and it's easily manipulated, right? Right here, 14 million and it shot up. I mean, it was manipulated. Some kind of catalyst drove it up. And it automatically corrected itself the next day and went down. Right? So it sold off, try to correct, continue to sell off, try to correct. Every time, if you look here, there's a lot of volume. The rest of the time, there's no volume. So you got to be careful with stuff without volume. But if you go in down here, you know, the dividend was paid out and it continues to sell off. Now it's kind of pushing up. Let's go to 5-day, 5-minute chart. So sell off, push up, sell off, and then it's kind of consolidating, sells off. Hits its low here at 144, starts pushing back up. I could see it pushing up to 155, maybe 160, right in that area. But unless it passes the 160, it's still a downhill downtrend. So it's kind of just decaying over time. If you go back and look. Now the 3-year mark, decaying, 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 decaying. The company hasn't been doing very well. I mean, the earnings reports come out and like this one, earnings report came out and it sold off. Try to push back up, try to recover, continue to sell off. It's a downhill trend. I would want to see it confirm an uptrend before I was to start to pay attention to it. I mean, if you want to get intraday, go back to the 1 day, 1 minute. If you want to get in intraday and take this to that, sell off, you could take this to that, maybe even here. But once it starts selling off, it sells off quick. So between 9:50 and 10:30, so about 40 minutes, it's at the bottom. It makes its low here and then consolidates and then tries to recover. So that's one that I don't know. I would wait until it had a continuous uptrend before I even traded that. INCL is a big Cowboys fan. I'm born and raised in Texas, so kind of tell you a little bit. So why isn't it pulling up? That's why, because it's a Y and not a L. All right. Let's see here. 180 day. So it's from here, it's at a continuous uptrend, right? But we have this trend line, which is going to be a resistance. And I believe, yeah. So there's a lot of consolidation right in here. So we're going to have to break that to see an uptrend. If it does break that, I would kind of look into here. That one, which this one wasn't. Oh, yeah, it was. So this is the main one, and it's right at it. I would be looking right here. If it continues to go up, put your stop limit here and ride it up, and make sure you do a trailing stop. That way, if it sells off, you don't lose everything that you've earned from here to here, right? Trailing stop losses is one of the big things that you need to make sure you use and use it correctly. Don't put a 30-cent trail stop whenever it moves dollars. Don't put a 30-cent trail stop whenever it only moves pennies. So know how much it's moving normally, because let's go here to the 10-day. So it sold off here, try to recover, continuous downtrend, right? And then right here, it starts to recover. Once it hits this area right here, starting to recover. So if you had bought here, you rode it up, and right here, if you put a trail stop loss on it, you would have stopped out. But if, let's see here, you probably would have stopped out here. And then jumps down here, gets rejected, continues its uptrend. So if you would have stopped out here, if you were paying attention watching it, hopefully you bought back in right around here and continued the uptrend and sold right around here. Because that resistance right there. But I think it's way overbought. I think that I would wait for this move right here. If it breaks that and continues to uptrend, I would jump in, ride it up, and put a trail stop loss on it so I can lock in profits. I have my alert set. I think it's going to go back down to 84.90 before it breaks through that resistance. I think that 84.90 is going to be the new support, and then it'll go up and surpass this. But I got my alert set just in case I'm wrong and it continues its uptrend. Then I can jump in, ride it up. Let's see here. SWI. See. It's at its peak. SWI is at its peak. So if it continues its uptrend, which from I think, yeah, see the 3-year mark, the past 3 years have been, wait, this is a fairly new one. That's right. It started in October of 2018, so it's a new IPO. You know, you can't really go off of previous patterns because it's new. There's no previous pattern, so there's a good possibility that this can go to the moon, depending on the news. I'm gonna have to look at the news and see what's going on with this company, do some research, because it's continuously uptrending, and that's a good sign. Just got to look out for this one. So it got up here last time and got rejected and came back down. So that's what I would be looking for. I'd be looking for the rejection here, coming back down. It may not go all the way down to 12.25. It'll probably go down here to 15 and then come back up. And I think at that point, there's a good possibility that it'll surpass this little resistance that it has. because it's way overbought right now. So right now it's at 71. You can see back here it got overbought and sold off. Right here, you can see that it got oversold. So I got it set at 70 and 30. The blue lines is whenever it's overbought. The green lines, which green means money, means it's oversold on my RSI. I use RSI, MACD, and VWAP. The SMA and the EMA. Those are the 5 studies that I use, that I see value in, that I see that it works. See, because right here, you can see it came back down to the EMA, barely broke it, consolidated right here and here, and pushed back up. So that's acting as a support right now, and that's what I would see here. At minimum, it'll come back down to the EMA. It'll come back down to its EMA at about 1830, 1840, like it did here. And then if it continues its uptrend is when you would want to, but waiting on confirmation. So right here is your confirmation. This candle right here. That candle right there is your confirmation. It's above the EMA and past the SMA. This one gets above the EMA and then tried to go all the way up here. Got rejected, came back down. Then it continued right here. So it's something to watch. All right, so JDST. See, it's been on a downtrend pattern. See right here, it made higher highs, made a lower low, then continued up. And then right here, it started consolidating a little bit, sold off, consolidated, sold off, try to recover, but continued to sell off here. A lot of people are saying this is the bottom, but it's still selling off. It's still going down. So JNUG would be where I would be in right now. So JNUG, which is the inverse ETF. So over there it was selling off, and now this is the opposite. So since it started downtrending, this one's uptrending. It's not exact, but it's pretty close, right? So when that one pushed up, this one pushed down. But this one is consistently making higher highs. So I would 1266 would be my peak before it sells off some more. And it could sell off a little bit more, but I doubt it. So right here. Yeah. I would say it's going to go up to 12 60 area, then it'll sell off a little bit, be over bought, sell off, and then it'll be oversold, and that's when you buy back in. You want to get a good deal before you take a position. Getting a good deal is one of the flaws that a lot of people make, because if they bought here, right, and it sold off, they just lost 15% that they could have made to here, which is 12%. So instead of making even if you buy it here, instead of making 30%, you only made 12%, maybe 15, somewhere around there. And hopefully you sold here. If you're still holding, then you're above where you bought, but you're only at maybe 10% where you could have been at 32% at this point, right? And then you would have made this if you held through here, which is 57% plus a 32%, or even 27. So that's a 75% in 75%. What? 90 days to 3 months. That's 25% a month. That's better than a lot of people's goal. That's over 5% a week. That's my goal. It's 5%. I try to get 5% a week. My goal is about $250 to $300 a day. That's my goal. Sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't. But sometimes on Monday, I make, 1%. But then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I made 10%. So now I'm up 35%. Kind of 31%. So I do a weekly goal and go from there. If I surpass it, I don't change my trading strategy. I don't say, oh, well, I made this money, so let me continue and get more bullish. I don't do that. If I make $500 this week, that's awesome. Because next week I may only make $150. It'll equal out for the month. But if I changed my way of trading and said, all right, well, I'm up $500. Let's see if I can hit $2,000. I'll continue the way I trade, and I don't get greedy. Because when you get greedy, you say, oh, well, it didn't go up to here, so let me hold it and wait until. Well, if I didn't sell here, I just lost 13% in 5 days. Now I'm waiting until it comes back up here to make any money. I don't do that. If I say, all right, I'm going to day trade this, I day trade it. I don't hold it overnight because it didn't perform the way I wanted it to. That's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make, because the next morning you don't know what it's going to do. If you see value in making a day trade, stick to that day trade. Let's see here. GT, Goodyear. Right? So it's consistently downtrending, right? It has hit the bottom where it's hit here and here. So it tried to go down, it tried to go down. Now it's hit. I don't know if this is the bottom. I'm thinking it's going to, but it's still consistently downtrending. I'd wait for confirmation that it's trying to recover. I'd ride it up to right about here. Do you see my line there? I'd ride it up to right about 20, 30, and I'd sell. If it passes that, which it hasn't in the past, if it passes that, jump back in. It's probably going to go up here 21 to 22. But I would ride this one once it passes the moving average. And once it's above the EMA, I'd ride it up the 7% that it has to grow, according to previous patterns. So you can tell right here, it was oversold. This area right here, right? So oversold, way oversold, started pushing up. Right now it's at about 43. It's still a okay deal, but if you go back to the 3-year, it'll give you a little more info that right here used to be the old support. So if it does continue to uptrend, this is where about $25 is where you would want to lock in profits for sure, unless it passes it. But if you use one of the trail stop losses, you can lock in profits at that point. Let's see here. Next one. UWT, DWT are inverse ETFs. UWT. Oh, go to the 180 day. So it was downtrending here. It's kind of consolidating now. And we want to pull this up here. I already got it set. I was already looking at it. So I'm going to pull that up. So let's go to the, wait 1 minute. I'll go to the, all right. So DWT is consistently downtrending. But right here, /CL. That's what I was looking for. All right, so you can see here it hit its low here, right? So UWT is kind of the same. It's not exact, but it is kind of the same as CL. So forward slash CL is consistently making higher highs, which means DWT is making lower lows, right? So right here, I would more than likely we would see resistance here, which is where it's at. It's right at that resistance. So what I would see is it coming back down to here, about 14. See, we hit it twice here. I would say it would come back down to about 1477. And once it came back down here, which would be here, on forward slash CL, right? So once it came down right about this area, right, we would want to see it reverse. But if it pushes past here, like it's not a resistance, then staying in UWT is a good idea. But time will tell on this whole CL because and it's been this should have started trading. Yeah. So go to the 1 day, 1 minute chart, right? So this is all today, right here, I believe. Could be. Yeah. And this is what it's done. Made a new high. Let's go back to 5 minute chart. 5 day, 5 minute chart. Right. So it's continuing to uptrend, but it hasn't passed this line, but here. Once it passed there, and here, it got rejected by the top VWAP. So, but it's consolidating, so I would like to see it here. If it made it there, then all of 58 or 60 would be where I would sell off on UWT. DWT, I think it's going to continue to downtrend. If you look at the 3-year mark right here, $4.53 would be a new low. So right there, it did consolidate where it's at now. So, but it continued to downtrend. So previous patterns normally help you figure out its direction. So we just need to give this a little bit more time. Maybe by tomorrow it'll show a direction, but right now it's just staying right here. And it ain't even 0.5%. Well, little over 0.5% on interday plays. So, but if you played it from here to there and played it perfect, right? It's 0.89% if you played it perfect. So, opportunity cost is one of the main things with this. So I get out right here. I put my sell limit at 56.60 and watch it come back down to here. Once it did that, jump in and route it up. My opinion. BGS. BGS. All right, let's see. Let's push this back down. Consolidation there. Not really moving a lot. I mean, it is here to here, about 10%. Kind of doing that horizontal, but then it sold off right there. Got oversold here. Tried to push up, got rejected, sold back off, and now it's pushing up here and then consolidated. Sold off pretty aggressively, and now it's trying to push up. I would want it, it's above the SMA. So what is up with my studies? Let me go ahead. I don't know why this one. Well, I had two EMAs instead of SMA and an EMA. No wonder it looked weird. So it is above the SMA and the EMA. Cool. You know what? It looks like it's trying to. I think right about here. It's going to pull back and then continue up. I want to see it to here. Right. Yeah. All right. So sorry about that. Now I got my simple moving average, which is the SMA. I got my exponential moving average, which is my EMA. I don't know why I did that. But it's still wrong. Go fix that. Here. There we go. Much better. All right. Yeah. Let's go to another one. But if you're not in it yet, I would wait for a pullback to test this SMA, which it's continuing to do here. So there we go. There's good next day swings. So if you bought here, sold here, 2.5%. You bought here, sold here, maybe 2%. It's good next day swings, but I don't know. I wouldn't. It hadn't made its mind on if it's going to continue to go up. So I don't know if I'd hold it more than one day. TMDM. So maybe I. See here. Maybe it's. Here. Oh, it's B. That's why. Maybe. No. I don't know. I had it written down. I guess I wrote it down wrong. PMD. It was a decent one, but it was way overbought. Oh well. We're gonna do loco. So I have a lot of alerts set, but it's below. Well, it just passed the SMA, right? And the EMA. So it's barely above the EMA and the SMA. So what I would wait for is a continuance. So right here, I would wait another day, see how it does it, how it goes. And once it confirms the uptrend, because this one's above it, but it's also below it. This one's the only one that's above it and staying above it. So I would wait another day, maybe throughout tomorrow to confirm the uptrend. Once it confirms, I'd buy in and ride it up. I don't see why it wouldn't, continue its uptrend. But in previous patterns, it surpassed it here, sold off. Consolidated here, sold off some more. Now it's pushing back up. So wait for the confirmation, because that right there is 18% profit, as long as you wait on confirmation. Don't jump in it because, like it did here, consolidated, pushed down, then it pushed up just a little bit, right where it's at now, right where it's at right now, right here, and then sold off some more. So what it did here, that's what it did here, and here, and here. So this is the area that it's unknown. It could push right back down. So wait for a good deal. Wait for it to confirm the uptrend. Even if you do it intraday would be okay. So like it sold off here dramatically and then it pushed up. So if you pushed up, it's almost 5%. So intraday plays is good. I wouldn't hold it overnight because if you look right here, so it pushed up and then it sold off first thing in the morning. Right here is 9 a.m., 7 a.m., 9:30 a.m. It pushed up first thing in the morning and then sold off. So that's something to pay attention to whenever you're trying to trade loco. I think it's not a good deal right now. Wait for it to confirm the uptrend. Let's do one more. AK, no, NWL. NWL. All right. Let's see. That major sell-off right there kind of worries me, but it sold off here, consolidated a little bit, and pushed up. I'd wait for the consolidation but it's way oversold. So it may, since it gapped down, was it 20%? Since it's oversold, it might Tuesday just push straight up. That's something that is risk. It's risky, but it could pay off. And it could pay off big. So it'll pay off 20%. But it also could continue to sell off. It might consolidate a little bit, push up to here, and then sell off like it did Friday. But if you want to risk it to get the money, what is that saying? Risk it to get the biscuit, right? It's a risk, but that earnings call, the earnings call was really good. They surpassed it by 20%. 21, well, yeah, 20%. 21.5%. 0.21 cents. 20.5%. So I got a feeling everybody wanted that under here it has the dividend payment. Everybody wanted that dividend payment. They're up, they're good. They just profited. If they buy here, they were looking for that dividend. They just made 20%. They're done. They didn't want to hold through earnings, which they should have. If they would have held, earnings would have caught them a lot of money. But they got that dividend payment and they decided to sell. Everybody sold at once. Now it's oversold. I would buy in here at 17, ride it back up, and more than likely it's going to go up to $23. That's my opinion. But it's a risk because it sold off so hard right here during the earnings call that they didn't want to hold during the earnings call, and they should have because they did better than they were supposed to. But that kit, you probably need to look into that a little bit more before you do take a position. Look at the transcript, see what it says, see if something else happened that made them want to sell. All right. Well, that's going to be the last one. I hope everybody good luck this week. Hopefully you can make that money and have a green week. And I will see y'all next time I go live. Give me a thumbs up on here. You can follow me on Instagram, which is HAAP. Look me up. I actually put it in the link description down below. And good luck.